Have you ever wanted to sew a beautiful garment but felt overwhelmed by how to read the pattern? Or have you ever sewn an entire pattern only to realize it doesn't fit? In this video, I'll walk you through the first steps of understanding the back of a sewing pattern envelope and preparing your pattern while reducing frustration by sewing a prototype to ensure the right fit. And P.S. This will also be a great video if you're looking to prototype your own sewing patterns or fashion line. For years, I was intimidated by commercial sewing patterns, especially the ones that didn't say easy on the front because the instructions just seemed so complex. So this will actually be my first time sewing a McCalls sewing pattern, and if I could do it, you definitely can do it. Since I wanted to give this my best shot and do justice to my new sponsor, which I'll explain later in this video, I decided to slow down and really try to interpret the instructions instead of rushing in with pure excitement like I usually do. So I started by reading the back of the sewing pattern envelope. I made sure to choose the recommended fabric because not doing so can give you an entirely different look. I also checked the required notions. Next, I looked at the fabric width and how much yardage was needed, because fabric width refers to the measurement from selvage to selvage, the finished edges on the fabric that prevent the fraying, and it typically comes in standard widths like 45 inches or 60 inches. I then checked my bust, waist, and hip measurements against the sizing chart to ensure a good fit. Now here's where things can get overwhelming, is opening up the pattern instructions. Before I let myself spiral, I practiced some self-soothing affirmations like, I can do hard things, I can do hard things. But once I got familiar with how the instructions were laid out and identified the key symbols, I prepped my muslin. While ironing muslin isn't required, I choose to do it to achieve the best fit possible because I spent a lot of money on my linen fabric, so I really wanted to get this right. Many sewists, including myself, have dived just right into their final fabric only to find that certain areas are too tight or too loose. And I really wanted to avoid this mistake, so I bought this muslin from Mood Fabrics for about $4.99 per yard. I also like to iron my paper and pattern pieces before cutting them out. I set my iron to the lowest heat setting, just enough to remove those deep wrinkles so I can achieve the most accurate fit. And then once that's done, we move on to phase 2. Right now, I consider phase 2 to be all about cutting and marking. I lay the muslin out and make sure the pattern is on the grain, as indicated in the instructions. Since I'm primarily checking the body and waist fit, I don't need to sew the entire dress in muslin, just enough to get the proportions right. The pattern also provides guidelines for cutting fabric efficiently, maximizing your yardage. Now, although it's not necessary, I like to pin my pattern pieces to the fabric to prevent shifting and accidental distortion. Once the pieces are cut, it's time for my favorite part. Next, it's time for phase 3, which is assembling the prototype. And this is where I actually get lost, assembling the actual pattern. Normally, I'd go on a YouTube scavenger hunt, jumping between videos to figure out each step. This process can take hours because either the angles aren't clear or an important step is just missing, which, let's be real, I've been guilty of missing or omitting steps in my own videos. But the good news is that's where today's video sponsor, Craftsy, saves me hours of searching by providing everything I need in one place. I literally lit an aromatherapy candle, made some tea, and binge watched all the videos that helped me with this project. In Craftsy, I started with the video Understanding Muslin for Prototypes. And even though I knew some basics, I did learn that I didn't need to sew the entire garment in muslin, which of course saved me time and money. I think you can actually benefit from this video too, or even videos like Practical Sewing Tips and Techniques by Nikki LaFolie, where you learn general sewing tips, working with hems and zippers. The best part, Craftsy has an exclusive offer for you. The first 1,000 subscribers to click the link in the description will get a full year of Craftsy Premium membership for only $1.49. Just keep in mind this offer is valid for new members only. Well, because if you're already a member of Craftsy, you already know how pretty amazing this is to have. So whether you're a hobbyist, beginner, or someone looking to refine your skills to monetize your creativity, Craftsy is a solid investment. Sewing reminds me that patience is a virtue. And this video had two purposes. There's one for you and then of course one for me. But I wanted to tell you that when I first learned to sew in the 8th grade, I was super excited until I had to thread my machine for the first time. I struggled so much that I got discouraged and I didn't sew again for over 25 years. And this is just one prime example of how skill difficulty can lead to giving up without the right support or the right mindset. So over the years, sewing had always crossed my mind, but I kept thinking, oh, I'm too old to learn, or it's just too late for me to learn. But now I'm done rushing through life and trying to get things done in a hurry. I want to be able to enjoy the process. And this pattern is definitely a test of patience. And my goal is to embrace the journey of sewing this garment because of the joy itself, if that makes sense. Because when we stay present while acting on our values, meaning engaging in the things that are really important to us, life feels richer. And this is a key principle in acceptance and commitment therapy. When we enjoy the process, we don't feel like we're chasing empty goals. All right, so this is where we are so far, and I feel pretty pleased. I did mess up a bit on the collar, and I'm still going to have to learn how to insert lining later, but the fit is really good. I'm very happy with pretty much the way that it's turning out, despite this being my first time doing a McCalls sewing pattern. I still have to, of course, complete the sleeves, add the skirt, but so far I am pleased and I'm looking forward to finishing up this prototype. All right, everyone, so I hope you found value from this video and I will see you in the next post.